Am I the idiot for not letting my neighbors borrow my car for a long trip? I, 29, female, moved to a new neighborhood almost 2 years ago. I live alone, no partner or kids, but my mom, 80, female, does live with me part of the year, 6 to 8 months of the year. I really like this neighborhood and haven't had any issues until now. It's a very tight-knit community. Neighborhood BBQs at least once a month. The kids all play together after school, etc. My next-door neighbors to one side have a severely disabled child. She is 6, almost 7, and completely non-verbal and wheelchair-bound. They have nurses who help care for her, but I know her parents are struggling, understandably so. Her mom had to quit her job and is a full-time carer for her and their other older child. I've gotten relatively close to them, the parents, and they are lovely neighbors. Their older child is respectful and honestly one of the sweetest children in the neighborhood. For my mom, I bought a minivan and had it customized to have a ramp and wheelchair tie-downs so that I can easily transport her and her mobility equipment, usually a wheelchair, when she's staying with me. The other 4 to 6 months of the year, when my mom spends time with her sister and friends in our home country, the car sits mostly unused unless I have a reason to move bigger things that won't fit in my daily driver. I noticed that the neighbors didn't have a car suitable for transporting their daughter without taking her out of the wheelchair and fighting to keep all her tubes and wires in place, so I offered them the use of my minivan if I wasn't using it to transport my mom. We've had an agreement in place that has worked well for us for almost 18 months, but now they've asked if they can use the car to go on a road trip. The trip is scheduled to last just over 2 weeks. The main reason for the trip is to take the kids to Disney World for the first time. My problem is that my mom is supposed to arrive a couple days after they leave. I asked if they could delay the trip by just a few days so I can at least get her from the airport with minimal stress. They are adamant they leave on the dates they want to do. I said no, I need to be able to comfortably get my mom from the airport, and after a 12-hour flight I want her to be comfortable and not have to worry about getting in and out of the car. They called me selfish and I've been ousted by the rest of the community. I wasn't invited to the last barbecue. Nobody says hi or waves back at me on the street anymore. The neighbor kids that come by to see my dogs and run around the yard with them haven't been by in almost 2 weeks. I tried to text the neighbors, but my texts went undelivered, so I think they blocked me. I feel like I'm living in a hostile environment now and it's so uncomfortable. Should I just cave and let them take my car? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot, and don't cave. It appears your friendly neighborhood is actually made up of a group of false friends. You didn't ask for anything unreasonable, but they wouldn't adjust for you, even though you were extremely generous with them. This neighborhood has turned toxic, and if it's possible, I suggest you find a community of more honest people. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Are you kidding me right now? You have got to be the most self-centered, heartless person I've come across. How can you be so utterly oblivious to the struggles your neighbors are facing? You claim to be part of this tight-knit community, but it's clear that you have no understanding of what that actually means. When someone in the community needs help, you step up and support them. That's how it works. But no, you decide that your precious convenience and your mom's arrival take precedence over the dreams and happiness of a family with a disabled child. Now for the update. Sorry it took so long to update, there's been a lot going on. A few days after I posted here, I got a text from the next door neighbor asking if we could talk. She came over to my place, and before we even started talking she was in tears and hugging me, apologizing for everything that had happened over the last couple of weeks. She said her brother had sent her the post, and she had no idea what had been happening in the neighborhood. Eventually I got the full story. The day before they asked about taking the van for a vacation, they had gone to meet with her daughter's medical team and got bad news. They gave her only a few more months to live. She really wanted to take her kids to Disney World before her daughter passed, and obviously with her emotions running high she vented to her best friend, also lives in the neighborhood with her kids, who was the real reason nobody was speaking to me. Her BF had told everybody I told them I didn't care, that their daughter was dying and I was being incredibly selfish. It was a very emotional conversation, and she told me she would set things right with the other neighbors. After she went home, I spoke to my mom and we agreed to try and help them pay for Disney World. I got some apology messages from other neighbors and did a kind of fundraising and raised a decent chunk for them to be able to afford flights/accommodations. They went on a trip and had a great family vacation. Her BF apologized to me and told the neighbors the full story. Unfortunately, their daughter passed away about 10 days ago, peacefully in her sleep. Neighbors are obviously heartbroken but are being supported by the neighborhood. So yeah, not exactly a happy ending, but everything is as normal as can be now. Comment 1. Hate to say it, but the neighbor's BF is the real villain, embroidering the story with "I don't care if she dies" and other nonsense that didn't happen to turn the neighborhood against OP, instead of, oh, I don't know, rallying the neighborhood to help them with renting a van or whatever for their trip, sort of like what OP did. I hope she's ashamed of herself. OP made her friend and her friend's daughter's lives easier with her generosity, and BF really tried to do her a bad turn. Comment 2. I hope in the future your neighbor will listen to both sides of the story, but what a terrible loss your neighbor is dealing with. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my girlfriend I'll keep honoring my best friend's dying wish even if it makes her uncomfortable? My late best friend and I have known each other since we were little. We were next-door neighbors and always played together. We even went to the same kindergarten, primary school and middle/high school together. One day during our sophomore year, we started talking about how most of our classmates had started dating. We obviously weren't okay with that and decided to get one up on all of them by getting married. As a joke, I made her a fake ring and she gave me her scrunchie. A few weeks later, a drunk driver hit her. She sustained multiple injuries and was in the ICU for 2 months. The doctor told her family that her survival chances are slim. The only time I talked to her before she died, she made me promise to always visit her on our wedding anniversary, and to wear her scrunchie during the visit. 4 years ago, when I started dating my girlfriend, I told her about it and asked if she was okay with it. She commented about how sweet and nice the tradition was and told me she was perfectly fine with it. Today was the 10th anniversary, and I took the day off. Before my girlfriend went to work, she told me it's time to put this tradition to rest and move on because it was starting to get pathetic that I still wear a dead girl's scrunchie to celebrate a fake marriage that we had 10 years ago. I was furious at her comments because she wasn't just a dead girl. She was my best friend and like a sister to me. We grew up and did everything together. I told my girlfriend a long time ago that we never had a sexual or romantic relationship and that our wedding was just a joke. It's not like I talk about her or keep her photos around the house or anything similar. The only times I've talked about her to my girlfriend is when I told her if she was okay with the tradition, or if she asked me about her. When I told her that I'll keep honoring my best friend's dying wish even if it made her uncomfortable, she left for work angry at me and hasn't come back home yet. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. But if she's been fine up until now, then maybe she's upset about something else? Like there's been a feeling that the relationship has fallen into complacency, so she's lashed out at a display of you showing something else as being meaningful? Comment 2. No idiots here, but don't be held hostage by a promise for a fake marriage. Even real marriages are to death do us part. Celebrate your friend's life the way you want in life because she is dead and does not care. So if your remembrance of her brings you joy, then find people that can share in that joy with you. I do wonder though, if your friend were able to see you having a conflict in a relationship over this, what would she want you to do? That's something only you can answer. I think that you haven't talked through this with your girlfriend and there is obviously built up resentment and misunderstanding with her that discussion and conversation might fix. In the end, what's important for yourself, and communicate those expectations to your GF and let the chips fall where they may. Now for the update. When I came back home from work Tuesday, I found her sitting on the couch. She looked like she had been crying before I got there. After she saw me, she held her head and broke down crying again. When I asked her what's wrong, she started apologizing and begging for my forgiveness. I calmed her and told her she needed to talk to me first. She said that she didn't have the guts to look me in the eye after what she did and that she haven't been able to sleep ever since. She told me that she's been feeling like a piece of poop after talking about my best friend the way she did and also hurting my feelings as a result. She admitted she really saw my tradition as nice and sweet when I first told her about it, but still thought I'd stop doing it after each passing year. She told me she never considered herself the jealous or controlling type, but what she did really showed her true colors. She told me that I don't deserve a shitty girlfriend like her because for the whole time we were together I always listened to her, treated her with love, respect and kindness, and made her feel like the most important girl in the world, and in return she thanked me by being a mean-spirited partner that was jealous and cruel and who tried to deprive me from the few hours I get to have each year to honor a sweet and loving memory of a friend. She said she'd understand if I wanted to break up with her, but asked me to forgive her because she didn't think she'd be able to forgive herself, and apologized again. Hearing all that was really a lot to digest. I took a few minutes to gather my thoughts, then I told her that forgiveness was a process, and I wouldn't mean it if I said I did right then. I assured her that her feelings were valid whether I agreed with them or not, and that having them doesn't make her a bad person, but told her that the way she acted on them at first was hurtful, tasteless and rude. I said that I accepted her apology because it was sincere and that I really appreciate her being honest with me. I told her I meant what I said before about wanting to spend the rest of my life with her, and reminded her that we always faced hardships and setbacks as a team, and this one wasn't any different. She replied saying that I was the love of her life, and that she couldn't believe she was going to throw all we had away because of jealousy. She made me promise to never feel guilty about honoring my best friend's memory. We talked and hugged each other for a long time and then fell asleep on the couch. I just want to thank you all for your comments, advice and suggestions because they really helped and played a huge role in navigating this situation. I believe they made me consider a lot of scenarios and think about a lot of stuff which hadn't crossed my mind before. Comment 1. Soft. You're the idiot. I can understory girlfriend wanting you to move on so she can feel that she's your everything and live your life. I think you've damaged your relationship, and there was nothing wrong in her asking you to get past this. Maybe other things were wrong, but not the asking. I don't know that your mature deceased friend would want you to continue a tradition if it would interfere with your future relationship. Comment 2. This might be weird, but if you haven't, you may want to go introduce your girlfriend to your friend. I think it could help her and your relationship. For you, your friend is very real because you have memories, but she's not very real to your girlfriend. At the same time, your friend is very important to you in the present, but your girlfriend can't be a part of that at all. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for deliberately getting rejected from a summer camp so I wouldn't have to watch over my special needs stepsister? My dad has been married to and for 8 years now. I'm female 16, and my stepsister, N's daughter, is female 15. N's daughter is autistic and she struggles a lot socially. For the most part, her issues stem from not knowing when she is being taken advantage of or bullied until it gets more serious, and then she has some really bad episodes that come from being treated that way. When my dad first married and they told me it was now my job to look out for her and be a good big sister, and they really put me to the test. They made me spend time with her at school even though we are a grade apart, and I was used to having time with my friends for lunch. Then they would make me supervise her if she wanted to play with kids in the neighborhood or park. She liked playing with younger kids until COVID put a stop to that for a while. I'd have to follow her out all the time. I resent the role I have to play in her life. I never wanted to be someone's keeper, and it's not something I enjoy doing. Several weeks ago, Dad and N announced we would be going to this Christian summer camp and that N's daughter really wanted to go. We're doing the day part, but there is a day and sleepaway parts of it. N is very religious and Dad became religious after he married N. When my mom was alive and they were married, he was an atheist. I'm like my mom and they old him that way. I hate the church. I hate most religious stuff, honestly. It has always been judgmental in my experience, and as someone with a trans best friend and friends who are not straight, I have seen the poop N's church has said about LGBTQIA+ people. I also don't want to be stuck taking care of her for 6 weeks this summer. So I emailed the pastor over the camp and made it pretty clear where I stood on the issue and that I would make sure I talked about not believing in God and would openly discuss LGBTQIA+ issues throughout the camp. Seems like it worked because I got a call the next day and they said they could no longer accept me as I am not a member of their church. I was never baptized and have refused to be. It took about a week for her and my dad to figure out I had a part to play in it. They asked how I could be so selfish and how could I abandon my sister like that. That she could end up being treated terribly there, and she'll have nobody looking out for her. I told them it was not my job to do that. It's been over a week now and they're still pissed, and the camp starts soonish, and they are only growing more angry the closer it gets. I expected it somewhat, but they really believe what I did was shitty. Dad said Mom would be ashamed of me and I told him she'd be ashamed of him trying to pawn off parenting onto me, and she would never have been okay with any of this. He told me I was being cruel. Am I the idiot? There's no updates, so here's a few comments. Not the idiot. There's nothing wrong with them asking you to help them on occasion. This isn't that though. They are making you be her quasi-babysitter, which isn't cool. At least they should pick activities that both people could enjoy, as 15/16 is really too old for a day camp unless it's targeted for special needs individuals. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Plain and simple, she's not your responsibility, and you aren't her caretaker, nor should you be forced to be. They are her parents. All that is their responsibility, not yours. They should be ashamed of themselves for expecting you to parent your autistic stepsister because either of them want to. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps the channel grow. See you next time.